Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. 2018 kicked off with a call for smarter sectors to boost the economy, a praise of Glencore's asset management, and a sparkle of hope for the diamond city of Kimberley. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer unpacks the headlines. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashnee.
So apparently South Africa needs to aim towards smarter mining, manufacturing and agriculture. What do they mean by this?
You know, with the emergence of Cyril Ramaphosa and his impending presidency, we can almost see that South Africa has bottomed. It has bottomed politically, it has bottomed economically, and it has bottomed, hopefully, socio-economically. We are heading for a gradual improvement as we go from 2018 forward. Of course, there's still the election in 2019. And people are starting to express sentiments because of the comments around particularly the need for agriculture for young people to get rid of this terrible unemployment we have there. There is the comment of taking land without compensation, which is something that has to be well negotiated, because we know that if you do that the wrong way around, you know, it's destructive. We saw that in Zimbabwe. So it'll have to be done cleverly, but it can be done cleverly. And mining smarter is what, you know, George Meyer called for in the IDC media conference with UNCTAD when the United Nations were here. And we need that smarter agriculture as well. There's a lot of opportunity, as he mentioned when UNCTAD presented last year. And if there is going to be land that's taken up, it must be worked in a way that really benefits South Africa. And this call for smarter agriculture, I think, is very important at this point in time, against the background of the demands that, you know, some of the land compensation takes place, or the recovery of land by the people of South Africa. But it must be accompanied by some smart thinking. And we know that there are institutions around the world that are looking at youth in rural areas. They are actually funding through non-repayable grants, also UN bodies, agriculture. I think we should seize upon that moment as well. So I've emphasized agriculture because it's an important start to South Africa, but mining as well. We can see that people are starting to think about smarter mining. They're starting to call for smarter mining. The technology is there. The digitization is there. The way we do things and the way we've been doing them for 100 years plus can come to an end, and we can hit a much greater productivity as we move forward now, because the means are there. You know, mining has not advanced as fast as it could. It has been backward, but the rest of the world has moved. And now they can take that technology and use it for the benefit of mining. Manufacture has advanced, but in South Africa we need to be even smarter. We sit here in a geographical location which gives us access to quite a few places. If we actually use this as a base, we can start improving our manufacturing exports as well as using them locally. And when you think of the need for also smarter logistics, you know, it was very encouraging to see at the January 8th speech of the ANC, which took place on January the 13th, but that's the irony. You know, sitting there was the head of another African country, namely Kenya. That sent a very strong message to me that if we are going to move forward, we should do it regionally, because it's going to be a much better bet. And when you look at the technology these days, they should begin with infrastructure. Because it's no good Kimberley building a road in this direction and its neighbor building a road in another direction. Let's do this together. We don't have to be politically linked initially, but we should try and be physically linked as a start, because it'll help the politics. And if you've got a railway line, let it link up properly with the other railway line. And we know with this great technology now, you can use digitization where your train can go flying through a border, and it can pay all the customs, it can deal with all the identities of the people on the train digitally. You don't have to even stop at so it can speed up logistics. All those smart things I think we need to think about, and it was good for George Meyer, the researcher at the Industrial Development Corporation, to use the UNCTAD meeting to put this across.
Now, also making headlines, analysts commended Glencore for pulling metals from the market during the 2015-2016 crisis. What were the results?
This is new thinking. You know, the way we used to mine, you just mine, irrespective of what the market's doing. Now, that does not help your host country. You know, if you've got value in the ground and you just mine in a way that destroys that value, you know, your host government should tell you to stop. because this is a national patrimony. If you're going to just keep producing and race to the bottom of the price level, who's benefiting from that? You know, if you just held back a bit on your production, gave training to your workers at that point, maybe there's a lull in the operation, lift them up. There's so much to know about in the world these days. Get it through to those workers. Have a system where you're not going to lose value from a developing country and benefit a developed country with very cheap commodities that are not helping your country or even the world. You know, you must start realizing that these are finite elements. They get mined out. And so you should mine them in a proper way. Now, because of the element of Glencore in marketing, they're very aware of this, because they're also involved in trading. They can see this all the time, that you mustn't destroy a national patrimony. If there is a situation where the price is dropping below the economic level or the cost that it takes to get that out of the ground, you should halt. You know, you should slow things down a bit. We noticed the complete opposite in Australia when we had that iron ore problem. You know, they were racing each other to smash each other, you know, and they also hurt themselves and the country in the process. What you do there, when we saw in the 2015 commodity price crisis, you know, Glencore was inclined to hold back a bit on production. And that helped the price to recover. And then to come back at a time where you're at least at break even. You know, you don't want to be below break even. And so mining has got to reach its senses. And now you can see that the analysts at Bernstein are saying, hey guys, we should credit companies that do this, because they are ensuring that their balance sheets, which indicate the value of the reserves in the ground, are really that value, because they're keeping that value. There is such a thing as a correct value. You know, you can talk about miners being price takers and not price makers, but they mustn't be foolish about it. And so therefore, they should make sure that they preserve that value of the metal or mineral in the ground by active management of that asset. And they are saying that the companies that do that should be credited with a premium in their share price, which I think will start a thinking process going and hopefully enter a new era of mining where you retain value and you don't hurt your host country.
Now also a JV in Kimberley is bringing new life, or trying to bring new life, diamond life, to the city. Tell us about this.
You know, Kimberley, you know, 150 years after we found diamonds here, you would imagine that Kimberley is no longer synonymous with diamonds, that it's got its big hole, but that's for tourists. But in those early days, when they mined those diamonds, they didn't have the technology that we've got here. And so, you know, the parts of the mining process which end up in a dump were more valuable, because they were putting more value on those dumps. Now, in the 2018, people need to extract all that value. Although as they got more modern, there was less and less value on those dumps, because they were doing better and better technology. But what Kimberley has done now is it's combining what is underground, so that's virgin material, new material, with the material on surface, which from a point of view of the diamond industry as a whole, Kimberley is probably the best. There's probably best value on those dumps. They're combining it, and they've put a new section into an old De Beers plant. When I say old De Beers plant, it's a great plant. If you look at the pictures, it's wonderful. We were at that opening, I can remember, so it's not that long ago. They put up a plant to recycle and retreat the diamonds. Now they've added an automated section to that. So you've got automated rotary pan plants that can make sure that even though some of the value is being lost in the more modern dumps, you can still recover it, and it becomes a viable proposition. This could add 2 decades of good economic activity, you know, to Kimberley, which is what Kimberley needs at the moment, which is what South Africa needs. Everything we can get at the moment is important. And if it takes us for another couple of decades, that's what we need to just start getting ourselves off the bottom of our situation and making sure we don't fall back, and gradually going up this pecking order. And if you manage it properly, and perhaps Cyril Ramaphosa can do this, you won't fall back. You know, you won't fall back. So this could be the start of a beautiful new economic era in South Africa, if we get it right, and the right political leadership, the right economic leadership, the right business leadership, using technology, and then moving into Africa. And we saw that little spot of regionalism at the ANC meeting with the Kenyan president there. Maybe this could develop into a United States of Southern Africa. Wouldn't do us any harm, because a lot of big companies wanting to invest in the region now, they come to South Africa and they say, you've only got 50 million people. You know, that's not enough for us. You know, we need at least 500 million. Now, if you get into a regional partnership, as I think they were calling it there, you could offer that almost immediately to investors. They would have the infrastructure ready, they would have the markets that are moving, and they would be keener to invest in a situation like that in the way that we need. We need them to put some money in the ground, you know, and so hopefully this is the start of a new South Africa, that we're going to come off the bottom from 2018 and never look back into that hole that we dug in the previous years that have just passed.
Yeah. Well, here's looking to a bumper year for mining.
Yeah, I hope so, and for the whole country.
Yeah. Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sashnee.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on South Africa's mining industry.